Hello everyone, today's video is how car dealers rip you off. First, never go for the what payments are you looking for. That's the wrong question. The question isn't, are these affordable monthly payments? Focus on the price. Think about that. You walk into a grocery store and you see a loaf of bread for $1, certain number of slices. Then you look at another loaf of bread, it's $1.50, same number of slices. So you know this other bread is more expensive for the same loaf of bread. But if someone said, I'll let you buy it based on payments without really factoring in the price, you're going about it all wrong. Don't think in terms of payments. If you focus on the price, the payments will fall in line. So if you say, I don't care about the payments right now, I want to know what you're going to sell this to me for, without all this other stuff getting in the middle. So let's say you're looking at this car and the car is, say, $10,000. If you can afford $350 a month payments, well, okay, that's $4,200 a year. And if you paid that for 4 years, you're at almost $17,000 for a $10,000 car. If you instead said, look, I want to buy it for $10,000, and you spread it over 4 years, suddenly your payments are less than about $250 to $300 a month. Suddenly the savings is more. So focus on price, not the payments. Next, interest rates. If you have a credit score or a FICO score in the 700s all the way up, then you're entitled to really good financing. Below 700, it gets tough for you. You're going to pay higher interest rates because you're more of a credit risk. If you're in the 800 credit score, 900 is max, you're in the elite of the elites, and you will pay the lowest amount for financing because you can get it anywhere. You'll be approved on the spot. I've seen it time and time again. You want to stiff that lender? You want to stiff that credit card company? You want to pay them late? Well, your credit score is going to take terrific hits. If you get a 30 days late on a credit card, and it shows up as a 30-day late, it could take 50 to 100 points off your credit score, just like that. And it could take 3 to 4 years to recover from it. So pay attention to your credit score. Also, never just invite all these auto dealers to run your credit. They'll be happy to run your credit. And every time there's an inquiry on your credit report, it drops your score a little each single time. So never run credit until you have come to deal terms first. Not, let me just look at your credit. The hell with that. They're hurting your credit score by doing credit inquiries. Now, ultimately those scores will come back in time, but by the time you really get to the car you're looking for, and if you've run your credit 5 times in the first day or so, you might be 30, 40 points down. It could be the difference between a really good rate and a good rate, or a good rate and a poor rate. And that was for nothing. You didn't gain anything from that. So that's it. Next, the dealer add-ons. You're going to see the sticker price. That's the thing that's printed from the factory right on the window, the big sticker. That is the manufactured suggested retail price. They could sell it for more, they could sell it for less. When an auto dealer tells you that that's what they paid for the vehicle, that is right up there with, I will call you in the morning. No. Manufacturers, don't necessarily sell that vehicle at the price that's on the sticker, or where there's really no profit for the dealer. It wouldn't make any sense. Why would a dealer be in business if they couldn't make a profit on the cars? The actual true cost to the manufacturer, the one that actually built the vehicle, let's say it's Mazda, will be noticeably less than what the dealer pays. The manufacturer can do all kinds of things with what it charges itself. Okay, it can actually take a loss on a vehicle just to get rid of them. Maybe they're closing out that model. But it's a suggested retail price, suggested, which means it doesn't have to be followed. Now, I never advocate that you're supposed to screw the dealer over so they get nothing out of you. No. That isn't fair to them. That isn't fair to the sales guy. That's just not right. I typically will look at the sales price, the sticker price, and I'll stay somewhere a little under it, but not much, it depends on the price of the car. But I'm not there to skin them alive because they got no incentive to sell you a vehicle where they can't make any money on it. Now, here are some tricks of the trade. You'll see the sticker price, and then next to it, another sticker on the window that was mostly handwritten or typed by the dealer. And it'll say, you know, alarm system, $2,500, which is ridiculous. New rims, $2,200. This is all flat profit. So sometimes what a dealer will do is say that they're not marking up the factory sticker price, which is true, but they're adding a lot of unnecessary options or overpriced options to really make a fortune on the whole thing. So when you see those kind of options, if at all possible, just tell them to take it off. You know, like for example, I saw a truck many years ago, rims and tires. I would have never bought those for myself, and they wanted to charge me $1,200 for those rims and tires. If I'd have gone to just even a standard tire store and bought new rims, I would have spent less than that. And so don't just assume that you have to take the options that they've so-called installed. Some of these options aren't really installed at all. I mean, they put them on there, but they can take them off. If they're such that you can't really get rid of them, then knock down the price tremendously, because consider it all pure profit. The interest rate is where they can get you. You'd be surprised how many people do not know what interest rates cost when they're going to borrow money. Believe me, auto dealerships, they know as well as anybody. They know what lenders they're going to shop. They know what lenders will buy their, what they call buy their paper. Because when the auto dealer is trying to sell you a car, and you know you got fantastic credit and you're putting down a lot of money, then there's very little risk to the lender. If there's low risk to the lender, the interest rate drops because they don't have any risk. If you're a high risk person that has had repossessions, stiffed your lender, not paid them, well then they're going to jam you on an interest rate. They just won't even lend you the money to buy the car because you've proven yourself to be untrustworthy. But assuming you got a decent credit score and above, and you're putting a lot of money down, you have every reason to bargain for a lower rate because interest rates cost you money. So, to give an example, I was at an auto dealer, and you know, I made mistakes. They ran my credit's fine, and then I said, hey, look, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Can't believe you ran my credit. I mean, I did give you permission, but we haven't even negotiated price yet. And he said, well, what can you pay? You know, what can you afford on monthly payments? And I said, no, we're not going there. I'm going on price. Then I'll go on number of months. Then after we get that done, I want to go over interest rates. What lenders are you using, and what rates are they going to charge me? And there's a thing called a money factor, which is, you know, the rates that it costs to borrow money. So a car is a secured asset. If you don't pay it, they can repossess it. That's why the interest rates are lower than they are for credit, because credit cards are unsecured, and that's why the interest rates can be through the roof. Always, always, always come in with a large down payment. Don't skimp on this. Don't do the easy financing, because you'll be financing for 5 years interest basically on top of interest, and it costs you more money. This is the time where you really are thinking about the lowest possible payment, because if you buy an expensive car and you put essentially nothing down on it, about 10% of the price of the car is taken up just from taxes and license. So if you put 10% down, it's almost like putting nothing down. If you bought a $50,000 vehicle, you know, you got the tax at 7.5%, you got dealer fees, you got DMV transfer fees, document fees, whatever. And that might very well be close to $5,000 by itself. So suddenly your $5,000 doesn't mean anything. You want to come in with a large down payment. And if you can't afford a large down payment, I'm going to suggest that you get a cheaper car. But assuming you can afford the payments, the payments because the price is good and it's not going to hurt you, let's talk about affordable payments. Never get a car that puts you on financial edge just because the dealer approved you. The dealer will approve anyone because they don't have to live with the decision that you just made. You do. The lenders, because it's a secured transaction and they can repo the car, they're more aggressive about making these loans because they got recourse. They can come and repossess it when you're sleeping in the middle of the night and take the vehicle and try to sell it for some money. I go by a very simple rule of thumb. Let's say your income is $60,000 a year. That's $5,000 a month. Subtract off taxes. Let's say 25% for taxes. That leaves you $3,700 a month to live on. And let's say your rent is $2,500 a month. Well, now you've got $1,200 left over to eat and to get a car. So what do you think that car payment should be? Which is why it's important to put so much money down. You need to think about what will be what I call the free cash flow, the cash remaining after you pay your rent, your utilities, your insurance, all the living expenses that you have. And, that's what's really left over. And you don't want all of the car payment to take it. So that, I'm telling you guys, I've learned from my mistakes. There was a time when I got approved for a car, and this was many years ago when I was just starting out. If I didn't live, I was just a teenager. If I didn't live with my parents, I could not afford the car because I didn't have to pay for rent. And there are people who will buy the car and drive around in it and not be able to afford to move to another place. They can't afford to pay more rent and live in a nicer place because this car is like a weight around their neck. So before you buy the vehicle, sit down, look at your salary realistically, look at what you pay in taxes, look at what your living expenses are realistically. You got a whole year to look at it, and then decide how much is left over that you can really afford. And from that, I would say a third is the best at most that you can put towards a car payment every month. Those are really your payments. Never think in terms of, well, I make $5,000 a month so I can afford $500. That's not the way you analyze it. It's I make $5,000, and then after everything is said and done, I'm clearing about $1,200 for food and a car and entertainment and clothes and stuff like that. So I can't make a $500 a month or $600 a month payment. There's really nothing left for the entire month for me. And then you'll start going into debt. You'll be supplementing that with credit card debt. And now the car is actually increasing your credit card debt. Now, more games the dealer will play. If you let them, they're going to run your credit, which will help trash it. And then they're going to give you a sheet that shows you financing options at 12% interest, 10% interest, 13% interest. And then for a certain number of years, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're going to say, well, starting maybe with 4 years or 3 years. And you'll see how the payments drop the longer out it goes. Well, that doesn't help you because the longer you finance it, the more it costs you. The shorter you finance it, the higher the payments, but the less it costs you because you're borrowing for a shorter period of time. You need to understand that. Most people do not like 3 years to finance a vehicle. So that's why you get the great rates for 3 years, because most people don't want to spend that extra money, but they spend less overall. So large down payment, shorter finance terms. If you cannot bargain for a really great interest rate on your vehicle, you walk away and watch within half an hour that car dealer will be calling you, telling you that they got that rate that you're looking for. And you want to know why they suddenly match the rate you're looking for? Because they're carrying the paper themselves. They're going to sign that contract to themselves. They're going to pay off the balance on the car because they got it from the dealer, and you'll be making payments to them. That's why when you see, for example, Toyota Financial Motor Credit or Honda Financial Motor Credit, Honda Motor Credit, Ford Motor Credit, these are the auto dealers basically becoming their own banks. They don't need to find a lender. They can offer their own financing. They're wealthy enough to help sell their vehicles. They give special financing rates. And it's brand new cars, and if you follow their terms, they're protected, and that's always usually the best rates are from the dealers. But don't just accept the interest rates they give you. Question it, challenge it, knock it down. Look up on the internet what the current rates are for good credit. Let's say it's 5%. Well, then you need a 5% rate. You can even get better than that because the dealer can finance it themselves. That's called carrying their own paper. When I got a really outstanding rate, I said, look, you guys can carry your own paper on this. I'm putting enough money down. And you know what? They gave me a really fantastic rate. In fact, the rate was so good that the dealer told me they essentially weren't making anything on the interest, and that they normally make money on interest. So I appreciate their how candid they were about it. Next, extended warranties. In a lot of instances, extended warranties are a very, very high source of profit from the dealer. It's a way to make money on top of money. You have to pay attention to that. Now, sometimes I buy the extended maintenance for oil changes, all that stuff. Over several periods of years, that actually might be a good deal. Just break it down, how many times the cost and everything, and see if you want to do it. But don't finance it. Don't add it to the price of the vehicle. That's how they make money on top of money. In fact, when they're adding it to the loan amount and the mortgage and the monthly payments, it typically means that they're carrying the paper themselves. So now not only is it the cost that they're quoting you, but they're getting interest as well on it. I just gave them the money. So here you go. I own it outright. They're like, whoa, they're not used to that. The more you borrow, the poorer you become. Remember, the rich people are the ones that have all the money to lend. The poor people are the ones that borrow the money, and they stay poor because they're borrowing money. So I think we've covered everything. Let me know if you got any questions.